That's what I do.
He's the best.
I wrap hands and do cuts for the fighters. Yeah, that's what I do here.
So you work on the side of Henry.
Yes, yes. When and I'll say, like, when the Areola Lopez fights or any of these fighters here, I'm the cut man and I'm the one who wraps their hands. I'm also the owner of the gym. I'm a boxing promoter. Yes.
When you see a guy get cut and it's pretty deep, and the commission and the doctor or even the trainer are not seeing what you see because you deal with it every day on a daily basis because it's your job, right?
Yes.
Do you intervene finally and say, you know what, this fight shouldn't continue anymore? Or have you encountered that?
I have not encountered that. I've come close. Excuse me. I came close to only one time here back. About a month ago? Yes, about a month ago. Out of Pachanga, Jose Lopez. He got headbutted. It was a gash, and I have certain medicines to use for that, and the one that I use for the last. If adrenaline doesn't work, I'll use the Avatine, and that seemed to do the job. But I have yet to stop a fight but if I had to, I would stop. I would turn to Hendry, because Hendry's the chief second. I would turn to him and say, you know what, Hendry, stop the fight. It ain't, he's bleeding too much. It's getting in his eye. It kind of depends where the cut is. If it's above the eye and it's just covering his eye, he can't see. And the same cut could be right here, and as long as he's winning, shoot, no, hell no, let's get paid.
Right. Well, Chris, he was in a similar situation. He was getting tagged way too much against Vitaly Klitschko at the Staples.
But he wasn't cut.
Well, he wasn't cut. But were you one of the decision makers with Henry?
No.
When you guys stopped that?
No. That was done through Al Heyman and Dan Goosen. They came to the corner and told Henry to stop the fight. I can suggest to Henry because of a cut. Other than that, it's Henry's call.
So why wasn't that suggested between you two? Why did you guys?
Because he wasn't cut. My job is to do the cuts and wrap the hands. It's not to stop the fight because he's getting hit too much. Henry's the trainer. That's why he's called the chief second. Mm-hmm. That's his responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The responsibility relies on his shoulders, unless Dan Goosen or Al Heyman had come over and tell him, then he'll follow.
Did you guys agree with them? I mean, when they came over and said stop this fight.
I thought that it should have went the distance. Not that the outcome would have been any better, but he could have gone the distance. Yes. I thought he could have gone the distance. Yes. He wasn't really hurt. He really wasn't. Mm-hmm. Yes, he got hit, but he really wasn't hurt.
Become a cut man, because a lot of times they always say, you know what, you just got to hang around the gyms, and then eventually you either become furniture or you become part of the team. What do you think about that type of saying?
That's in a way that's right, and I can only speak for myself. I give a lot of credit to two people, Joe Chavez, who was Oscar De La Hoya's cut man,
right,
and Chuck Bodak. I work.
Oh, yeah,
I work with them both personally, and that's why I give a lot of credit to them. A lot of people call themselves cut men, but they really don't know what they're doing. But you need to. There is no book. You're not a doctor, but you need to learn from somebody who's been there. And both of them had taught me what to do.
Should there be some type of regulations or some type of format to follow? I mean,
yes, yes, there should be. You should. Years ago in the state of California, in order to become a second, which would be a trainer or a cut man, or just to put stool in, you had to have 2 to 3 people that were already seconds sign and said, yes, Yes, he's ready, he's ready to become a second. Today, as long as you got $50, anybody can step in there. But the thing is that you have to find somebody, a fighter that will let you step in his corner. But if a fighter has to be, he has to have a lot of trust in you. He has to know that you know what you're doing, and not think, well, you know what? I hope he knows what he's doing. No, he's got to focus on what's in front of him, not on what I'm doing. And again, about a month ago, there was a fighter, and he was bleeding pretty bad, but yet he let me do his job, and he paid attention to Henry, and just he put it in my hands, and I stopped the bleeding.
Have you seen a Cutman in this hurt business and kind of shake your head and go, how
Many
the
a
hell did
time,
you get it?
many a times. You can see it on TV. You can see what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what they're using, and many a times, yes.
So
But,
when you say a fighter needs to trust a particular, obviously a lot of these fighters don't know what to look for or what to put themselves, because it's a livelihood. Their lives are put on the line.
Exactly.
And they don't seem to know how to take care of themselves. So how do we go about fixing something like that?
again, you should be certified. There should be some classes. There is no classes. There is no classes on how to use the medicines. They can only tell you what medicines to use. There is no classes, and you just have to learn from somebody who's already been there. I hold classes on hand wrapping cuts and what to do in the corner, and I don't give out certificates. But if you tell somebody you've been to my class, they know that I know what I'm doing.
What's the proper way of let me ask you this. What's the non-proper way of hand wrapping a guy's hand?
There's a lot of bad wraps out there, but
What's the common bad one?
The common bad one is not putting enough gauze on the hand. A lot of times they won't use enough to protect the fighters. They won't use enough gauze to protect the knuckles. And for instance, when Margarito got caught, the boxing commission and the attorney general called me to testify the proper procedure of hand wrapping in court. And I showed them what a proper hand wrapping is, but a lot of times people will not put enough gauze over the knuckles, and they won't put use enough gauze on the hand, because the hand it should be like a cast. You shouldn't be able to be doing this like this, because when you hit a person, that should just be straight, not like this here,
Right,
because
the wrist.
you can break the wrist.
Right.
Yes.
So what is the amount that should be applied
Okay,
over the knuckles?
it varies in different states. In the state of California, it's 20-20. 20 yards of tape, 20 yards of gauze. Now, how you use it is up to you. You can mess it up, or you can dress it up. See, I've seen a
Which
lot of
means
bad
what?
hands. Pardon?
Which means what? You can mess it up or you can dress it up.
In other words, you can mess it up by not knowing what you're doing, and you can do it by knowing what you're doing. And I've seen a lot of bad hand wraps, but it's not up to me to say that you had wrapped this gentleman's hand. It's not my fighter.
How do you go from getting involved in boxing and deciding to be a cut man as opposed to a trainer?
Most of the times you can walk into a gym, and I'd say 99% of the people they call themselves trainers, and out of that you may find one.
Put the towel around them, they have the stopwatch, and they say they're a trainer.
Yeah, and they're a trainer, but it's hard to find somebody that can do hand wrapping and do cuts, because usually there's one person that can do this and one person that can do that. Myself, I do both, and I don't train fighters.
How did you end up being, you don't end up, but how did you become a cut man?
A cut man? Well, like everybody else, I tried boxing when I was young. You starve to death. You starve to death. And then I had my son in the ring, and then I went back to the gym again, and I just started, and I seen that there was so many trainers, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to wrap hands, and I used to just practice and practice, and I listened to the people that knew what they were doing, and I learned from them, and that's taken me where I'm at today.
Do you think it's better, you can go farther being specialized like that than kind of generalized, like there's a ton of trainers trying to find that right fighter, but a cut man, you know, in a sense will always be, you know, it's a smaller field of people, so you'll always
Yes.
be in need?
Yes. A lot of times, I'll go to a show, and they'll just hire me just to wrap hands, just in the dressing room. I don't have to go out, excuse me, out there. I can just wrap hands in the dressing room. You'll get phone calls. Can you be my cut man?
What's been the hardest cut you've had to deal with?
The hardest one, there was a gentleman, his name was Diablo, and twice, once over here in Ontario and once in Vegas, he got headbutted, and I could see his skull. I could see his skull, and I looked at it, and I stopped the bleeding. I just stopped the bleeding, and that was it. I can't sew him up. I'm not a surgeon. All I can do is stop the bleeding. That was the worst. Not once, but twice on him.
So in a sense, you're almost like a triage guy in the middle of a war. You're not there to actually do the war, you know, do the actual surgery.
Yes.
But you just make sure that you stop the immediate impact of what's going on.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with Edmund Valero.
Edmund Valero. Yes.
One of the best cut jobs I ever saw was his last fight against Antonio DeMarco. And he had a cut from a headbutt, and the same thing, he almost could see the skull. And they took the hair and they matted it in, and then they put all the medicine on top, and they almost like used that as like a bandage to kind of
Like a
stop
filling.
the fight. Yeah.
Well, again, it's kind of what works, but within the guidelines, and there's medicines out there that will stop bleeding in a minute, but in a second, but it will put the fighter into shock, like adrenaline. And adrenaline is 1 to 1,000. Now there's 100 to 1,000, but if you use that, you have a chance of putting your fighter into shock, and even though you did stop the bleeding, that can put you're not doing the fighter justice.
Part of your job is also to probably, I understand, probably know the fighter that you're dealing with, and to know which guy's going to go into shock or which guy can handle what.
Yes. I pretty much, and I'll take the fighters here in the gym, because I see them all the time. I know if they're going to bleed real easy. I know that if they've had a cut before, watch that cut. If they bleed out of their nose real easy, what to do before the fight.
How involved are you in the training process so that you get to know?
I'm not. Andrew Ramirez is the trainer.
But I mean, in terms of, do you spend time getting to know the fighter and their tendencies? Do they get a lot of headbutts, or when do you become part of the process?
During camp, I'm part of the process because I wrap their hands when they step in the ring to spar.
Okay.
And I'm looking at them. My job is at the fight. People tell me, well, you have the best seat. Not really, because I'm not looking at the fight like you look at the fight. I'm looking at your face. I'm looking at your eyes. I'm looking for blood and where this blood is coming from. I'm not looking at your technique, although I can see it, but I'm not looking at that. My job is to look for swelling, look for blood.
When a cut happens, how much time do you need for it to stop? I mean, like you said, some medicine stops it immediately, or sometimes it takes a little bit of time to work.
It depends. It depends on the cut, how bad it is. I worked with Paul Williams. Paul Williams got cut in 4 different places at one time. And what I do, because I only have a minute. We're really less than a minute when they come back to the corner. And what I do is I take the bad ones, the biggest and the baddest ones, and then work on those, then when he comes back, then I'll work on the smaller ones.
Which fights were those? The fight that
But
he got cut?
when he fought, I forget the gentleman that he just lost to.
Sergio Martinez.
Sergio Martinez, when he fought Sergio Martinez the first time in Atlantic City.
Oh, okay.
He got cut in there, and you'll see me working on his cuts if you go back on the film.